Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Starport. This is Jason here at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki in downtown Brenham, Texas. And today's report is for April the 30th, 2025 through May the 6th, 2025. And as usual, we start with our nearest star, the sun. The sun has been having minor solar flares. None of them have had any significant CMEs that are Earth directed. And so probably just a little bit of sparks of energy, maybe some little jolts of inspiration when those CMEs are going off. But since they're minor, they're not going to be big things. Um, the cluster of them could sort of raise to the level of triggering minor, if you already have issues, heart palpitations. And if you have any kind of chronic disease like a lupus or something like that, it could cause flare ups and those things. So pay attention to that. There are no coronal holes that are currently Earth facing, and none that I saw on the report this morning that are moving anytime soon towards Earth directed. So that should be good. And then there is evidence. There is solar evidence. If you want to go check on that, I believe it was the day or the evening that it happened. There is evidence that solar influence or the weakening Earth magnetic field was responsible for the power outage in Europe, in Spain and Portugal and northern France. So go check that out. YouTube Space Weather News and look that up. We are currently in the zodiac of Taurus. Alchemically, it sort of goes down the body and then repeats. So we just got out of Aries. Now we've been a couple weeks into Taurus. Taurus is going to correspond, I was like resonate, well, probably resonates too, correspond with the polyvagal nerve cluster right here at the base of the skull, right here in the occipital lobe, right? So that's how your physical body is rendering your reality, right? So you had all this higher mind stuff, this self-discovery, these higher contacts, perhaps with spiritual beings. And then all that downloaded information is being rendered into your reality or made sense of and corresponded into this now. So that's going to happen back ahead. If you are having difficulty with what the hell's going on in the world and what's the hell it all means and all that stuff, sometimes you might have a lot of neck pain during Taurus. If you are Taurinian, you sort of get invigorated by it, and I don't say self-justified, but it's almost like the stubbornness of the bull is really sort of invigorated, right? And if you've already chosen a direction and did a lot of work on yourself, and you sort of moved in a direction, then this can sort of keep you focused and give you that momentum to keep moving in the direction of self-awareness, self-sovereignty, all the fun stuff that we look for. Some people call it awakening, some people call it ascension. Some people call it enlightenment. All of those kinds of things are where we're moving towards in realizing the divinity and the actuality of what we are rendered into this physical world and how we have contact with stuff that's outside of that. Yeah, and then we do it cyclically year on year as the zodiac moves around. And even modern philosophers, scientists, and space people, people that believe in aliens and UAPs and stuff like that also believe that the alignment of the stars and birth timing matter. So, yeah, the zodiac is something to pay attention to. And of course, if you want to dive deep down, I give a general overview of how that sort of affects everybody. You can definitely go check your own star chart on any of the astrology sites online and really sort of see where these planets are aligning and what houses is what they call them, which affects certain parts of your life, what houses these planets and movements are in. Excuse me. Got so excited. Girls just coming out. Which moves us right into today, Wednesday the 30th. Really, it's the end of the month. The conclusion of April is really the conclusion of a whole lot of energies that were in conclusion in April itself. We had the end of eclipse season and all of such things, and then full moons and stuff like that. And so the end of all those energies is really sort of a conclusion of shifting, right? Or, hey, you have all this new information. What are you going to do with it? This is like the return from a seminar. Like, hey, I did all this breath work. I did all these things and I feel so great. What am I going to do when I get back to regular life? Right. So this is all of a sudden like, hey, you've had this spiritual experience. What are you going to do now? And The main sort of energy that's going to be happening today is you're going to sort of have a choice. You can continue to discern things that were unclear from that time period, or the things that became clear during that time period. You can choose to focus on those, right? So this is kind of like, rather than being a generalist, right, you should focus on what you're good at, right? So the things that you've discovered and became clear, you should put your effort into those things. If I were giving some counsel, that's what I would say. It's just a better spend of the mental capacity, the spiritual prana, the energy that's moving through the body, right? We are a data set, and so we only have so much bandwidth. And so if you can spend that bandwidth on something that's a knownness for you, that's going to actually have good effects, then maybe you want to spend all your time on that. So this day, Wednesday the 30th, is a really good day to sort of focus on what became clear during April, and then start to kick ass and take names. Blah 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 blah. Is that what I said? Oh yeah, that's all I said on that day. I'm gonna move right on. That moves into tomorrow, Thursday, May the 1st, 2025. And some planetary alignments that are sort of happening with us on Thursday. I was like, tomorrow. So happening on tomorrow. Happening on Thursday is that Venus and Neptune are aligning, and Neptune has moved into Aries, I believe it is. And that is the end of a 160-year cycle. So if you want to sort of pay attention, like, what happened 160 years ago? What year is that, Jason? That is 1865. So definitely for the West, or the American West, as it were. 1865, end of the Civil War. And so you want to think about everything that's sort of changed and shifted in that reality. And we want to think about Neptune is deep understanding, spiritual powers, and then Aries being that higher mind, right? So the kind of energy that you might want to sort of embrace, look forward to sort of become true for you, is that a lot of the last 160 years, and somewhere around in there was one of the largest solar flares that we've had on record, that broke all of the telegraph lines and telegraph machines, because it sent so much current through the wires that were already existing then. And so you might want to say that from 1865 or 1860-ish on, that the people that are in charge of sort of creating the larger machinery of society sort of became aware that technology might be temporary, and that as you sort of may have seen during all of the information that's gone by this past week, there's been a little bit of hinting that, hey, the military's been spending all of this money they've been wasting on deeper underground military bases. And then if you're into all the space stuff already, you probably know that lore is that there's been underground societies for a long time. And so when you become aware that the sun is shifting and ending a cycle, you might start to go refurbish down there and start to stock away supplies, and then create ways to travel underground and all the fun stuff. So yeah, a lot of that conspiracy stuff is kind of been coming to light this way. And so the idea that in sort of the shift into the more, we're enlightened, we're ascended, and there's not necessarily a dark shadow war between aliens, separate societies, and all that stuff. When we sort of get into the idea that spiritual truths come to the surface, right? That something that was believed to be woo-woo really has had a scientific basis, astrology being one of them, probably since the late 1700s, but definitely in the mid 1800s, they started to have this expansion in science, and the idea of what Tesla started to understand about how energy moves, and what consciousness is. All of those things, instead of becoming woo woo, become actuality stuff, right? And that's why you have naturopaths and all these kind of doctors that sort of put one foot in both fields, and sort of expand the ability of humanity. And it's where you might sort of have this aha moment for yourself, that a lot of the things you thought were woo woo or magic is actually kind of widespread, and magic becomes kind of a science. So pay attention to that on Thursday. That sounds like a big Thursday. Happy May, everybody. Leads us into Friday, May the 2nd, 2025, is the actual ending of the post shadow of Mars retrograde. And you can sort of maybe perhaps sense a shift from anger into motivation, right? And so it's still that little bit of push of, the world ain't quite right, there's something not being quite right said, I'm missing some point, or there's a hidden hand that may be affecting me, that is bothering me, right? You sort of move from that anger of like, I can't believe this, to sort of going and using that as motivation to become more and better. And on that clarity that we sort of came up with on Wednesday of like, hey, this is what happened during April, right? Focus on that so you become expansive. That would be a good idea on Friday. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and so that sort of shift of Mars retrograde and all the energy that sort of took with that, and then it going direct, and then the post shadow. You want to think back to, is it early December? Yeah. So everything that sort of shifted from you into 2024 to now is kind of the energy that you can sort of look at of what you've been growing towards, and uh, thinking about what's pissed you off since December and now, and sort of like, hey, stop focusing all that energy on being pissed off and start focus on what you discovered about yourself, maybe in relation to that or maybe outside of that, and keep growing. Um, oh yeah. You want to choose empowerment, like what about knowing this makes me stronger, rather than what about this and what about other people knowing this creates me embattled, right? So just sort of be empowered rather than embattled. Um, Sometimes that's kind of hard to do, or sometimes if you get a dopamine rush from arguing online or in person with family, it might be hard to sort of get out of that embattlement stage, like the need and desire to be right, rather than the ability and centeredness to be more. What? We're growing spiritually, and it's fantastic. Moves us into Saturday, May the 3rd. Saturn is going to be influential on its Saturday. Imagine my surprise. Really, the influence of Saturn is about intuition being high. Um, the idea with this is sort of choices stick when they're made from a higher echelon, right? So a lot of things might be temporary wins when they're made from the now, like, yeah, I totally showed that person. But when you sort of decide from centerpiece and growing in of yourself and having a sovereignty and an expansion, and then sometimes those choices and decisions actually have a lasting thing rather than a temporary victory. So you might want to pay attention to that. On Saturday, as Saturn is influential, moves us into Sunday, May the 4th be with you. Sunday, May the 4th, you can find me with Dodie Rogers over in LaGrange doing sound healing and breath work. The poster, flyer, the picture of the flyer should be up on Facebook and I believe Instagram page. And you can find out the details. I think there's a phone number or maybe a QR code. I can't remember. But nonetheless, look at the information on how to sign up for that. We always love having everybody there. Breathwork and sound healing together is always pretty intense. And yeah, I enjoy the talent and environment which is created over there in LaGrange at Dodie's regular scheduled, at least location, different time. I think we're starting at 2 p.m. So go ahead and find us over there. But in addition to all that awesomeness that you can come be a part of and sign up to reserve your spot for, there is some cosmic things happening, which will probably make the breathwork pretty intense. So if you're available, maybe think about coming. And so Pluto begins its 5-month retrograde. So that means it's going to be in retrograde until October or mid-October. And the idea of what Pluto's sort of saying is you two have that magic that science embraces, right? So all of these magical things that you think are for the billionaires, the defense research groups, hidden societies, aliens, right? That you actually have access to that because consciousness is something that is not, well, I guess you could limit it, but it's usually self-limited. So this is the idea that the magic that science embraces, that the simulacrum becomes an actual player in, that you actually have the capacity based on your consciousness and your will to use it, the same powers that you think are for the rich and powerful. So you want to look for physical shifts, is how you might be concretely affected by this, right? So if you have a different understanding or a spiritual awakening, right, then all of a sudden you will start to cherish yourself as more divine, and then you'll start to have physical signs of that, right? So this can be the reduction of lines in the eyes. This could be all kinds of stuff like that. This could be all of a sudden you feel vigorous because you understand that you have a role to play in the cosmic play of reality in this little simulacrum. Yeah, so pay attention to the shifts that you're going through spiritually to start to have physical repercussions, right? And this might even be a physical talent or a physical ability that you start to see different colors. You might sort to see just in a, with your spiritual eye rather than just your regular eyes. And so just look for that sort of expansion to be happening on Sunday. Great day to have it. Right. Hey, get me all ready for my Monday, which leads us into Monday, the 5th of May, Cinco de Mayo, and also the 5-5 Gateway. 55 is usually about oneness or the idea of Christ consciousness or unified consciousness, where we have access to the all there is kind of energy. And so that kind of portal is going to be really cool. The things that sort of come up when we hit those gateways is really hidden truths reveal themselves. And we're also going to be halfway between equinox and solstice. And so this is a really sort of, you get to the peak, right? And you're like, hey, here's where I came from. Here's where I'm headed. And you sort of have this higher perspective. So that's a Monday sort of thing. So work on Monday might be pretty interesting. Where you start to see things for what they were and, see things for where you can go and what sort of your highest potential is. Leads us into Tuesday, the last day of the report. 5-6, May the 6th, 2025. And the Eta Aquarids meteor shower is peaking. And of course, we are in the age of Aquarius. And so Aquarius meteors in the age of Aquarius could bring these new spiritual discoveries, right? So maybe something you've been doing that you've never had anybody to bounce that off of is a really spiritual gift that you've just never known as a spiritual gift. A lot of times people that come in the shop will start to talk about experiences and think of themselves as not necessarily spiritual or not necessarily awakened. And really what they've had is a talent that's been there since birth that is just sort of making itself known or becoming stronger. And they just haven't realized that they've been operating at the spiritual scale and seeing things that others didn't and having abilities to Prometheus see the future. Prometheus. Yeah, so have foreknowledge, right? So that idea that you have an awakening or discoveries of these talents, right? Or even new talents because the meteors are quote unquote shooting into our reality. So look for that to be on Tuesday. That's a weird Tuesday. Unfortunately, for us here in the Northern Hemisphere, probably won't be visible, but if you are in the Southern Hemisphere and watching this, welcome. And you will be able to look towards the constellation of Aquarius and see the Aquarids shining through. So that would be the end of the report this week. I appreciate every last one of you that comes to watch this video. And I appreciate every last one of you who comes to the shop. NewDimensionsCrystals.com, downtown Brenham, Texas, next to KTEX 106, the radio station. They have a blue awning. I have a green awning. And that's where I be, under the green awning, in between the bushes of rosemary. And of course, like I said, on the Sunday day report, we are doing breath work this coming Sunday. Check the Facebook. I'll probably, after I post this video to Facebook, I'll put the flyer up again so you can see how to sign up. Like, what's Jason talking about? Like, oh, it's the exact next post. I will sign up. I don't know how much room we have left. Maybe we've got all the room. Maybe we're filled up. But Dodie will be able to tell you that when you send her a message that you'd like to come. I think that's everything I have for this week. Until next week, everybody, when I find the button for stopping, I will tell you many blessings.